I think it's a really clear understanding of where the market's at, and it's also a really clear understanding of when what we see a lot of the time, and it causes us issues as a small company, especially when large companies claim they can do things that they can't. And we've had that recently, where we've had a large company come back to us and in our space, they're technical experts, and say, yeah, what we've been saying we've been doing, well, we can't. We need your help to fix it, please. We obviously can't divulge what that is and so on, but when you get engineering contracts that are sort of trying to unstick things, it's being honest with people, but it's, I think, in more importantly than anything else, it's just making people understand that particularly as a small Canadian company, we're good at where we want to be. And again, it's an expression I love, and I heard it earlier on, is with Jennifer, I think, mentioned it, trying not to boil the ocean, and trying not to convince people that you can do everything. And again, back to that trust bit, when somebody says, can you do something? If you can't, say no. We don't need to be ashamed that we can't do everything, because we're good at what we do, and we can always bring the conversation back to that. And again, it sort of revolves around that the importance of trust and understanding, because in most cases, when you say you can't do something, most people would say, oh, that's all right, we're just asking because that's on our technical roadmap or something along those lines. But then if you can then take that conversation on to the next step is, well, when do you want to get there and how do you want to get there? That's when we bring our academic partners in, and that's when we bring our research partners in to sort of say, well, we've got this challenge, and we've had 2 or 3 customers that have said they'd like to go in that particular direction. Let's think about how we can tackle the challenges. Real world anchors was the real one for us about 4 years ago. How do you stop things floating around in space? Well, one of our customers wanted, quite rightly, wanted those holograms to be fixed in space. And people were saying they could do it, but they couldn't. As soon as you started to move away from things, an object which you would have hoped to be in the same place when you went back to it would start to drift. And so what we did was went to our research partners and said, right, how do we solve the real world anchors problem? It's a technical term, but it's one that I can understand, so hopefully everybody else can. And then we built a really successful partnership out of that, not just with our academic partners at the University of New Brunswick, but also with the customer, who saw that as being a problem for their long-term use. And they were at an early stage in their development, and they've gone on since that point to have scale deployments. But the reality was that without us being able to do that in the long term, 3 years in advance, they knew that there was no way that their workforce would accept the system for use. So it's kind of again, I've talked around the question, but hopefully in that sense, it gives you a good idea of the approach about how we're different. It's listening, simply listening to what your customer wants. I think that makes a lot of IT companies different, because a lot of companies don't listen. All they do is try and sell.